In a shocking follow-up to Press Secretary Jen Psaki's bizarre inversion of public school mask freedom, the Biden administration Friday announced that it will circumvent the Florida government and directly fund local schools, defying Governor Ron DeSantis' order allowing mask freedom for students. Yeah, the wheels have come off. And the tragic attack on federalism conducted through handouts and political favors, rhetoric, and threats is bearing its poisonous fruit. Hi, everyone. I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV. Well, Fox News' Bree Stimson gives us some pertinent information. Quote, U.S. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona wrote in a letter to DeSantis and State Education Commissioner Richard Corcoran on Friday that defiant districts that lose state funding would have federal funds available to them, according to Politico. End quote. MRC-TV readers and viewers will recall that on August 6th, Psaki not only dismissed parental concerns over the masking of their kids, she flipped the truth on its head to claim that DeSantis' executive order banning public schools from issuing mask mandates, an order that lets parents and kids choose, that somehow was anti-freedom. As I wrote at the time, perhaps Jen Psaki's been too busy to understand that when a politician tries to make sure other politicians and bureaucrats don't apply force to parents and kids, that's not a decrease in freedom. It's a relative increase in freedom. It appears as if Ed Secretary Cardona went to the same logic inversion school as Psaki, for in his statement promising federal cash to local Florida schools that mandate masks, he claimed, quote, Florida's recent actions to block school districts from voluntarily adopting science-based strategies for preventing the spread of COVID-19 that are aligned with the guidance from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, puts students and staff at risk, end quote, which is a study in the art of postmodern propaganda. Americans can see Cardona's Orwellian use of the term voluntarily. Just like Orwell's Big Brother told trapped residents freedom is slavery, Cardona employs voluntary to depict local governments forcing kids to wear masks. He says that somehow that process is voluntary. But as Stimson notes, federal DOE head Cardona increased the spin on this. Quote, we are eager to partner with the Florida Department of Education on any efforts to further our shared goals of protecting the health and safety of students and educators, he added. If FLDOE does not wish to pursue such an approach, the department will continue to work directly with the school districts and educators that serve Florida students, end quote, which stands in complete contravention to not only the written rules of the U.S. Constitution, but to the spirit of federalism. That's a respect for local decision-making that inspired James Madison to stress that if a power were not specifically enumerated to the feds in the Constitution, it belonged to the states and people therein. He said federal actions were nugatory and improper if they went beyond what was enumerated. Of course, Education Secretary Cardona didn't mention any of that in his letter. He seemed too focused on flipping the idea of freedom and too interested in promising federal cash to local schools to be bothered about that. Cardona also didn't bother to mention that neither the CDC nor his own department are sanctioned by the Constitution. That's curious, isn't it? It's almost as if centuries of political gamesmanship and favoritism from the days of Alexander Hamilton dreaming up implied powers in the Constitution to Jimmy Carter and his pals creating the unconstitutional Department of Education to today, it's as if all of those things have brought us to the absolute nadir of the U.S. system, where the term Constitution is a studio backdrop to lend a false sense of gravitas and patriotism to their bald-facedly illegal actions, while politicians curry favor and hand out tax cash to gain more power and control over our lives. The Bidenistas have discarded any real pretense that they will respect the operational rules under which they're supposed to operate. They've discarded any respect for the meaning of words or common sense or parental rights to see their kids treated properly in the very schools for which they and millions of others are forced to pay. They're openly, aggressively flaunting their anti-constitutional philosophy and attracting leftist Americans to do the same, to attack the very institutions and decentralized system of governance they claim to run, based on the provisions of the U.S. Constitution. To think that they can pretend that any of this is voluntary on the part of parents and kids is probably the crowning insult to the whole thing. Wow, unbelievable. What an absolute slap in the face. If this doesn't wake some people up, I don't know what will. Hey, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Thank you so much as well for being kindred spirits. I really enjoy seeing all of your comments on YouTube, and I'm gonna start going into Rumble and answering some of the comments over there as well. Remember, you can find our videos on YouTube, and please like and subscribe. And you'll also find all of our videos housed on Rumble as well. Just look up MRC-TV. You'll find us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Parler, and of course TikTok and Instagram as well, and the main website, MRCTV.org. MRCTV.org. You can find out what the whole great team is doing there. Thank you so much for joining me for MRC TV. I'm Gardner Goldsmith.